Coming to you from deep inside the bowels of a great big empty. Get ready for another episode of The Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
Hello, American families. Welcome to this week's episode of the Home Defense Show. I'm your host, Skip Coryell. And if you love your family, care about them deeply, and want to learn how to protect them in every facet of your life, then you've come to the right place. We got a great show for you today, and I know that you're going to love it. Today we are going to be speaking with Tom Lambert from Michigan Open Carry. We'll be talking all about the suit that they have in front of the Michigan State Supreme Court, and that will determine the future of gun owners in Michigan, not just open carriers, but also concealed carriers as well. So we'll be speaking with Tom about that. We'll get his opinion on what types of questions that the justices asked and what he feels the outcome might be. But before we get into that, let's talk about what's going on in my life. Boy, as you know, springtime is always challenging at the Coryell tribe. We've got rodents popping up all over the place. We got possum, skunk, we got groundhog, we've got raccoon, fox. They're all trying to kill my chickens, and I've outsourced that this year. I'm not going to deal with it. My nephew is handling that, and he's doing a great job. He has the ambition, he's got the tools, and he has the attitude. So, hey, Gabe, thanks for handling that for your Uncle Skip. I appreciate that. Trying to get lawnmowers running and rototillers running and plow the garden and get that planted, that's going to be a big challenge. Coming up, oh man, mushroom season. I'm thinking next week or maybe the week after, all depends on the weather, we'll do another special on morel hunting. We did one of those last year, and as you recall, it was the most popular episode that we've done in the history of the show. Over a year and a half, it was the most listened to show that we've ever had. So we'll do more of that. Morels are a great thing. I just love them. These days I'm teaching my 8-year-old son Phoenix how to ride his bicycle. It's a scary time for him. He's just petrified by it. He's fallen over a couple of times, and that just makes him all the more shy. But he could break into the studio at any time now, crying with a scraped knee or whatever, because his big brother, Cedar, is out there trying to help him learn how to ride his bicycle. You never know what's going to happen. Oh, what else is coming up? Oh, this weekend, big weekend for me. Tonight, my wife and I are going on a date. The first date in, almost a year. Try and get childcare these days. For 3 little kids, it's rough. But my sister Deb is going to watch the 3 little ones for us, and thank you, Deb. Appreciate that. Well, my wife and I, we picked out something very romantic. Actually, I picked it out, and I surprised her. I knew she'd love it. We are going to a 3-hour presentation by John Correa from Active Self-Protection in Battle Creek, Michigan. Joel Fulton from Freedom Firearms is going to be putting that on. It's entitled Lessons Learned from 13,000 Gunfights. Oh, is that romantic or what? I am just filled with romance. I know my wife's going to love that, and I'm certainly going to love it too. I think we're going to learn a lot, and I'm just very impressed with John Correa, so I'm looking forward to that. And then tomorrow, John Correa is giving an 8-hour pistol tactics class in Battle Creek. I'm signed up for that as well, and I hope to learn some things from John, find out more about what he's all about. And then on Sunday, I'm teaching an advanced concealed pistol class in Fenville, Michigan. That should be good. Those are smaller classes, so I get to know the people quite a bit, and we shoot a lot more rounds, so they're always fun. And of course, we're busy actively organizing the Second Amendment March for this year. That's on June 20th at the Lansing State Capitol. You can find out more about that by going to 2amarch.com. That's the number 2amarch.com. Okay, let's delve right into the news here. What is going on? I saw some good articles here. This one, bearingarms.com, one of my favorite places to go. Back the F up. Woman saves husband from armed robbery. A home security camera caught it all on tape. An unidentified man approached a stranger's house asking to use a phone to make a supposed call and ultimately ask for a ride. But what the residents of the home didn't know was that their guest was armed, and he was about to attempt to rob one of them at gunpoint. Thankfully, one of the residents was also locked and loaded. This is out of Memphis, Tennessee. A surveillance camera captured the weekend incident. I watched the video on this. As an instructor, I cringed on this, but I'll get to that in a bit here. The victim said a man pulled a gun on them after asking for a phone and then a ride. Moments later, he learned he wasn't the only one carrying a gun. A man told Fox 13 his niece took his gun and scared off a bold criminal. She's bold. She ain't scared of nothing. In the video, the suspect had his right hand in his waistband as he stands behind the victim's nephew. And when I watch this video, it's like, this guy's just a classic thug. He's wearing the hoodie, he's got his hand down the front of his pants, and it's like, this is pretty predictable. Quote, people are so bold nowadays, just broad daylight on a Sunday come up to you and try robbing you, the victim said. The man said his niece and her husband in the video were visiting from Florida. Police said after the woman saw her husband in trouble, she came out of the front door with a gun. She told Fox 13 she didn't want to kill him, but when he fired back at us, after she fired the warning shot, she said she was trying to hit him then but didn't. Okay, a couple of things here, folks. Okay, number one, she fired a warning shot. Now, I would hope that if someone is pointing a gun at me, that my wife wouldn't take the time to fire a warning shot. She would just empty the magazine into his back or his side or wherever her best shot placement is. Here's what I want my wife to do. Honey, I know you're listening. If someone pulls a gun on me, I've got my hands up, he's got the drop on me. I want you to move to cover. Don't tell him that you're there. Pull out your gun. You carry a 5-shot 38 special revolver. Pull it out. Aim center of exposed mass. Make sure you're not going to hit me, okay? You're probably going to get a pass-through shot with that 38 special. So get a good angle, get behind cover, aim, and fire 5 shots into his body. Okay? Put him down as quickly as you can. Don't worry. As soon as you start shooting, I will get out of the way. Then I'll draw my gun and I'll go ahead and I'll help you out because, hey, I love you. That's what husbands are for. But that's how I want you to handle it, honey. Don't worry about the aftermath, the legal aftermath. You know why? Because we have firearms legal protection. And you can find out all about that by firearmslegal.com/Midwest Tactical. Go ahead and get involved with them, and you don't need to worry about all this legal aftermath crap, okay? So many people, they're so scared of shooting somebody that they end up getting killed themselves because they fired a warning shot. And in this case here, the woman, I watched the video. She came out of the house, just flapping her gums like crazy, yelling and screaming at the man to get out of there, waving the gun around like she really didn't know how to use it. I'm convinced that she didn't know how to use it. She had available cover. She just walked right past it, started screaming, yelling, waving that gun around, like it was a banana. And then she fired a shot up into the air. Now, answer me this. Where did that shot go? This was in the city. She has no idea where that shot went. Folks, don't do that. The first warning shot goes center of exposed mass. That's where it goes. Don't worry about the legal aftermath because you've got firearms legal protection. Okay. All right, well, yeah, she fired the warning shot. Then he shot at her. So basically what she did was she said, okay, you can have the first shot. Why? Because either I'm stupid, I'm ignorant, and I don't know if I can legally shoot you, so I'm going to fire a shot up in the air, or I don't have the guts or the chutzpah to shoot you. You know, when you're firing a warning shot, you're telling the other person that you don't have what it takes to kill them. Problem is, these hardened criminals, they do have what it takes to kill you. So, folks, don't be doing that. We do not teach warning shots at Midwest Tactical Training. We teach good center mass body shots and plenty of them. Oh, it's going to be fun this weekend out there with John Correa on the range, and then Sunday teaching my own class. Going to be a really good time. We're almost out of time for this segment already. Boy, time flies. But, you know, I wanted to mention that CDC study. The CDC, way back in like 1998, did a study on violent crime because they were going to determine and prove scientifically that more guns meant more crime. So they did their study, and what they discovered was that guns are used 2.5 million times every year for self-defense use by honest, law-abiding citizens. So what did they do? Did they announce it to the world? No. They buried it. They didn't do anything with it. And then Gary Kleck finally found out. He's from Florida State University. He did an independent study of his own, scientific study, and he estimated 2.5 million times every year guns are used for lawful self-defense. But the far left just poo-pooed him and told him he was crazy. Then he discovered the CDC had found out almost identical results that he did back in their 1998 study. And so now I just want you to just do a Google search on CDC crime study, Gary Kleck, K-L-E-C-K, and go ahead and read that. That'll give you plenty of ammo. Just, hey, the bottom line is, Gary was right. 2.5 million times every year on average, guns are used by respected, law-abiding citizens for self-defense to drive off the bad guys. And that's news that we can live with. Okay, folks, we are about out of time in this segment. We have a 2-minute break now. Check out our sponsors, firearmslegal.com/MidwestTactical for all obvious smart reasons. Then go to elitefirearms.us, see what Larry Jackson can do to help you choose the right firearm for your family's home defense. When we come back, we will be speaking with Tom Lambert, president of Michigan Open Carry, all about their Michigan Supreme Court case. You're not going to want to miss that. All right, folks, this is Skip Coryell on the Home Defense Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
My name is C.J. Coryell. Welcome to the Home Defense Show with my dad, Skip Coryell. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
This is Skip Coryell from the Home Defense Show, and I want you to have the very best handgun that money can buy. And that's why we recommend you visit Larry Jackson at Elite Firearms and Training. As a concealed carry instructor, I see people every week out on the range with guns they can't shoot properly because they didn't know what to buy. That will never happen at Elite Firearms and Training. Larry Jackson will personally fit you with your very own personal defense pistol. So call Larry Jackson today at 616-299-8715 or visit elitefirearms.us.
This is Colonel Danny Gillum. I host Frontlines of Freedom, a weekly syndicated military talk radio show. One of my co-hosts is Skip Coryell, the host of this show. We cover things that impact military and veteran communities, and we do it from the veteran's perspective. The show is broadcast across the nation and is also available as a podcast on our website, frontlinesoffreedom.com. Please join Skip and me weekly on Frontlines of Freedom.
Okay, folks, welcome back to the Home Defense Show. This is your host, Skip Coryell. The next two segments, we're going to be speaking with Tom Lambert, the president of Michigan Open Carry. Tom, welcome to the Home Defense Show.
Thanks for having me back, Skip.
All right, Tom, great. Now, Tom, for the benefit of the people who haven't heard you yet, go ahead and just tell us about Michigan Open Carry as an organization, and then also tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. My name is Tom Lambert. I'm the president and legislative director for Michigan Open Carry. Basically, we're one of the state's gun groups. The gist of what we do is we promote an openly carried holstered handgun, and the purpose to do that is to effectively bring gun ownership out of the closet. At the end of the day, we want people to know that good guys have guns too.
Tom, what you just said there, I want you to expand on that just a little bit. You said you promote carrying of holstered handguns. So what's up with that? Because I've never heard anyone say that before.
Oh, interesting. I thought I might have said it before. That's basically just the way we phrase it, an openly carried holstered handgun. A holstered handgun is just a tool that somebody is carrying. Really no reason to freak out over that. I think I'm kind of speaking to the choir with you here. A holster or a handgun in someone's hand they're carrying, there could be a good reason for that, but you might not know what that is.
Yeah, it's when the gun is in the holster, it's not quite as threatening as when someone is walking down the street with it in their hand. When that happens, they're usually up to some nefarious purpose. I would certainly agree with that, but
maybe not. You don't know.
Yeah,
but,
that's right.
It's usually a very safe bet if there's something in a holster, you're probably good. Criminals, even law enforcement know that criminals don't carry in holsters.
That's true. They stick it down their pants usually, and
because an empty holster, you chase somebody down the street and you catch them, they have an empty holster. Well, now you're going to go back and check all the bushes for the gun they ditched.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, now Tom. All right, before I launch into about your Michigan State Supreme Court case, touch a little bit on open carry in general, because I've been thinking about this, and I get questions about this all the time. I'm a life member of Michigan Open Carry. I love the group. I open carry when I want to. I concealed carry when I want to. But I always get these people who come up and say, listen, anyone who open carries is just some fringe right-wing lunatic who's doing it because of their ego. They just want to show off their gun. And why don't you just go over with us, take a couple of minutes, what are the legitimate reasons for open carry?
Sure. Just to be clear, to start off with, even though the group is Michigan Open Carry, we're not necessarily telling people to only open carry and forget any other option. That's not it. What we say is, there are advantages to open carry. There are disadvantages to open carry. There are advantages to concealed carry. There are disadvantages to concealed carry. At the end of the day, it's up to each person to decide what's best for themselves in their specific situation. It's not up to me. It's most certainly not up to the government. Now, we talk about open carry because I think open carry is often ignored. In many ways, it is a valuable tool in someone's toolbox. I mean, you don't have just a hammer in your toolbox. You don't even have usually one screwdriver. You have a set of tools, and each tool has its purpose. Now, someone may not want to open carry, and that's fine. It's their decision to make. Now, a reason why somebody might want to open carry is we have the 3 P's of open carry: personal, practical, and political. Now, a personal reason is maybe it's the most comfortable for them. Their body type might open carry a lot better than concealed carry. Maybe the season, it permits open carry better than concealed carry. In Michigan, it gets very hot in the summer. It's kind of too high to fist on yourself. In the winter, it's easy to conceal carry. In fact, in the winter, it's harder to open carry than it is to conceal carry. So it's just whatever you're doing. A practical reason you might want to open carry is when you open carry, you can generally carry a larger firearm. A larger firearm generally means a larger caliber, longer sight radius, larger magazine capacity, things like that. Small pistols tend to be problematic for self-defense when you get really into the smaller range. And the last one is political. That's kind of what I mentioned in the beginning, that taking gun ownership out of the closet, making people realize that good guys have guns too. And that's the long-term goal behind it. you know as well as I do, there are forces out there that they just want to make people think that guns themselves, not the people, the actual mechanical devices are evil. Mm-hmm. And that by placing this device into somebody's hands, that evil transfers from the device to the person, making the person evil. And that's a load of crap. And in my experience, the best way to confront dishonesty, to confront lies, is directly with the truth, in person when possible. It's a lot harder to lie about me as a gun owner to see that standing right in front of me. You know, I can say all this stuff about you, Skip, that's horrible, anything that I can think of. But if somebody's standing right in front of you while I'm saying all this stuff, it's going to be a lot harder for them to believe it.
Yeah.
And so that's what open carry really does.
Yeah, and one thing that I've noticed, the times when I open carry, I'll have like my 3 kids with me. I've got a 12-year-old, 8-year-old, and a 7-year-old. People look at you differently, when you're carrying with your family than, say, you're by yourself and you got grease on your face, you haven't combed your hair, you're unshaven, and you look like a homeless person. People look at you differently. And, when I open carry, I try to, I guess, put my best foot forward and look my best and be kind of like an ambassador for...
that's the exact word that we use, an ambassador for gun owners.
Yeah.
I do the exact same thing you do. Whenever I'm open carrying, I try and be the nicest person I can possibly be. Smile all the time, hold the door for people, look presentable. I'm putting a face on gun owners.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just think that's... When people see that, they start to question everything that they've been told from the media, from higher education, from the politicians that are all anti-gun. And, it's like open carry. It can be, one of the best things to happen to gun owners. So, I encourage everyone out there, go ahead and open carry and try it out and see if you like it. And, but be at your best when you're out there. So,
sure. And one other thing I want to bring up is I get this all the time that, you're that open carry group, and they think we're those people that are in YouTube yelling at police officers, and they think we're trying to trap police officers, and that couldn't be further from the truth. We put on seminars now and then, and I tell people at the beginning of the seminars, if you've come to learn how to make a YouTube video, you've come to the wrong place. Our goal is not to get in the face of police officers. In fact, the exact opposite. We have members of law enforcement on our board of directors, in our leadership. Our goal is to avoid confrontation, and we do that through educating both sides. We educate our side of gun owners. Look, here's how you interact with law enforcement without being a jerk, and we educate law enforcement here. Here's how you interact with somebody with a firearm without being a jerk. And due to the severe reduction in lawsuits against law enforcement over the past 2 years, I think we've had a lot of success in the front.
Yeah. Well, the same thing happened with concealed carry. You're talking, like 18 years ago when we were trying to get the concealed carry law passed. There was all this animosity, and it was fostered by the media and by anti-gun politicians between us and law enforcement. And now, similar things can happen, with open carry, and you just got to do your best and get past that and be the best person that you can. And I know that you guys, you work really closely with law enforcement and, community, government officials. Whenever you do an open carry picnic or a march or something, you call up ahead of time, don't you, and let people know what's going on?
We used to. Don't go ahead anymore because, frankly, we don't have to anymore. I think time we're to that state where we don't have to call ahead to make sure people know what they're doing. They already know what they're doing.
Oh, well, that is encouraging in and of itself. So, fantastic. Tom, we don't have a lot of time left in this segment. I want to launch right back into the purpose of our call at the beginning of the next segment. So, let's go ahead and let's end this now. But before we do, go ahead and tell people where they can learn more about Michigan Open Carry, and during the 2-minute break, they can check that out.
Sure. It's online at miopencarry.org. or if you just Google Michigan Open Carry. As well as we're on Facebook. We have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. You can find us, Michigan Open Carry.
Okay, all right, great. So we got a 2-minute break. Head on out there, check out miopencarry.org and go to Facebook. Search on Michigan Open Carry, check them out. Also check out our sponsors, firearmslegal.com/Midwest Tactical and elitefirearms.us. When we come back, we are going to be speaking more with Tom Lambert, president of Michigan Open Carry, and their Supreme Court case that just went down. Okay, this is Skip Coryell from the Home Defense Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
This is Felix Coryell on the Home Defense Show. Always use guns safely and wisely. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey folks, I want to tell you about my book, Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book. More and more people across the country are seeing the dangers in society and are deciding to carry concealed to protect themselves and their families. My new book lays it out step by step. It'll teach you how to protect and defend the ones you love. Get the benefit of 17 years of teaching experience and a lifetime of training for this important role in society and in your family. You can get Civilian Combat real easy. Just go to Amazon.com, search on Skip Coryell Civilian Combat, and it'll pop right up there. Don't put it off any longer. Get Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book by yours truly.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if life was like the movies and the good guys always won? In today's world, if you're forced to use your firearm to protect yourself, you will need protection. Firearms Legal Protection is here for you. FLP provides you with seasoned, experienced attorneys that handle your criminal and civil matters as a result of you protecting yourself. FirearmsLegal.com provides its members with uncapped attorney's fees, bail bond protection, and coverage in all 50 states. We are not a reimbursement plan. You can access uncapped attorney's fees for as low as $10 a month. Firearms Legal members are provided with educational services, training videos, and access to our vast national attorney network. While you're protecting yourself, let Firearms Legal protect you.
Listen up, folks. This is important. There are plenty of legal protection services out there, but none will protect you as well as Firearms Legal Protection. This is the one I use and the only one I recommend. Visit firearmslegal.com/Midwest Tactical and protect your family now. Okay, folks, welcome back to the Home Defense Show. This is your host, Skip Coryell. We're speaking with the president of Michigan Open Carry, Tom Lambert. Now, Tom, you just went to the Supreme Court here, the Michigan Supreme Court, just a week or two ago? Tell us about that.
Yeah, about a week or two ago. Numbers ago, back in 2018, I believe, we filed a lawsuit school district in over whether or not they have to follow state law. That we won at the trial in Genesee County Circuit Court. A little while later, the Michigan Court of Appeals heard the case, decided against us, overturned the lower court, and decided in favor of the schools. And so then we appealed to the Michigan Supreme Court. The Michigan Supreme Court looked at our case. There's another case that's nearly identical as well for Michigan gun owners versus Ann Arbor Public Schools. So if you hear these, that's why you might not hear our name necessarily. Media forgets the Michigan Open Carry case every now and then. So there's two cases. Ours is Michigan Open Carry versus Clio Area School District. We appealed to the Michigan Supreme Court. The Supreme Court decided to include us in the 4% of cases that they hear every year. There's a very small percentage, so we're very lucky to be in this very small percentage to hear our arguments. And what it comes down to is, yes, this is an issue about guns in schools. The issue the Supreme Court is looking at is whether or not schools have to follow state law or whether or not they can make their own policies above and beyond the state law. And the term for it is called preemption. Are schools preempted by state law, or can they make their own rules above and beyond state law? Our position is that schools are indeed preempted and therefore must follow state law when it comes to what state law says in regards to firearms in schools. And long story short is, yes, Michigan law does permit firearms to be lawfully possessed in schools in certain situations.
Well, if it's so cut and dried, why did we have to go to the Michigan Supreme Court then to figure all this out?
If I boil it down, it depends on whether or not our legal system is being honest.
Oh, I see.
We won at the trial level. The Genesee judge that looked at it, I can tell you, was not happy. He was most certainly not happy, but he ruled in our favor because that's what the law said.
Mm-hmm.
The Court of Appeals panel, a panel of 3 appellate judges, looked at it and issued a unanimous ruling against us, and frankly, their opinion was just horrendous. They completely misapplied the law. They completely misapplied case law. Even if the Supreme Court comes down against us, I think they're really going to offer a lot of corrections to the Court of Appeals. It's just how bad their opinion really was. I think the very low quality of the appellate opinion is one of the reasons why the Supreme Court is picking up our case.
Mm-hmm.
Again, even if they don't necessarily find in our favor, I think they have a lot of cleaning up to do. And that's part of what their position is, to make sure that the case law and the precedent that we have, everything is based on that foundation, if you will. It's their responsibility to make sure it's clean and to keep it in a good state. And right now it's not in a good state thanks to the Court of Appeals.
Yeah. Was that just a political decision? Were these appellate court judges letting their personal politics intervene, or what's the deal?
In my opinion, yes. Each state does it a little differently. In Michigan, our judges are politicians too. Our judges are up for re-election just as any other politician is. And while they don't run on a partisan ballot, meaning you don't see Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, or anything else behind their name, many of them are partisan. Mm-hmm. And many of them have ideologies. I mean, every human has their own ideology. Some are better at getting around it than others. And frankly, you don't become a judge because you're the most qualified. You become a judge because you get the most votes.
Okay.
Just as any politician does. You
Sure.
don't become a representative because you're the best representative. You become a representative because you got the most votes. And that's effectively how it works. One of the issues that is muddying the waters, if you will, is we have a preemption law in Michigan. It is Public Act 319 of 1990, and that's where the legislature preempted local units of government in our state from regulating firearms. Some people know it as MCL 123-1101 through 1105. They know the 1102 section specifically because that's the meat of it. In that law, local unit of government is defined as city, I'm trying to remember exactly, city, village, township, or county, I think is the 4 entities that it lists. It does not list school district. And so the schools are arguing that preemption does not apply to them. And here's the thing. We agree that statute does not apply to them. This is not a case of statutory preemption. It doesn't end there. The notion of preemption greatly predates the statute. It goes back probably about 100 years, and even into common law in England, that higher level of law generally supersedes or preempts the local law, and so this has been around forever. And this exists in Michigan too. So there's different types of preemption. Preemption can exist even where there is no statute that says it exists, and it happens where this is what's known as direct conflict, where the state prohibits something that's permitted locally, or the state permits something that's prohibited locally. And that second one is what we have. The state law permits firearms to be carried in schools in certain circumstances. Therefore, anywhere that the school prohibits what the state permits, that is direct conflict, and state law is to take precedent. And that is our argument. Our argument is that, look, this preemption statute does not apply, but it's also not the end of the story, because we have this long-standing precedent dealing with direct conflict as well as field preemption. And based on oral arguments, the way oral arguments went, I think the court is especially Chief Justice Markman picked up on that. He picked up on it very, very well. He asked a lot of questions of the other side's attorneys. By the way, it was the number of attorneys arrayed against hundreds of years worth of legal experience on the other side, pitted against our attorney and then the attorney for Michigan gun owners. And the other attorneys were questioned by the Supreme Court. They at times didn't even have answers. It's not that they had bad answers. They often didn't have any answer whatsoever. The attorney for Ann Arbor asked the judge to read the law to it because he didn't know it. And it was the law at the center of the case that permits firearms to be possessed in schools. He was unfamiliar with it and had asked the judge, the Chief Justice, to read it to him. That happening highest level in the state is profound.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. That's like going in for a job interview and saying, yeah, what's this job all about again? That's sad.
Well, it's bigger than that. It's like going to the Super Bowl and then saying, what is a forward pass again?
Yes, that's right. That's a better example. Folks, this is Skip Coryell on Home Defense Show. We're speaking with Tom Lambert, president of Michigan Open Carry. Tom, what happens if we win this case?
If we win this case, in my opinion, it will be the largest pro-gun court win in the state's history. It will have a very profound effect on not just preemption, but a lot of things will stem from it. The legislature has been debating for years what to do with, for lack of a better term, let's just call them restricted zones, because they're in Michigan law in many different forms and many different sections. They all work differently. So let's throw them all under one term of restricted zones.
Okay.
What we do with that and how we handle those, I think this case will have a very significant effect on. Because if all of a sudden schools are forced to accept open carry, many of these schools are very, very anti-gun, and they are absolutely not going to want to accept it. If all of a sudden they're forced to, right now we're having a hard time getting them to the bargaining table. I think they're going to be much more interested in coming to the bargaining table after that.
Yeah, what's that old saying my grandpa used to say? I got you by the short hairs. That would definitely apply.
It's a good analogy. Now, on the other side, if we lose, then preemption is going to be in kind of a weird state depending on how the court does it. And I think you're going to see schools dig in even deeper and not want to come to the bargaining table. Now, what happens for the rest of the zones, we'll see as far as that goes. But the main goal is to start with this. And one of the things I've tried to tell those in media is I don't think this is the end. It's the beginning of the next chapter if we win. Because I don't want just open carry in schools. I mean, even though I'm the president of Michigan Open Carry, I don't think open carry only is enough. I often tell people I would prefer to see a healthy mix of both open carry and concealed carry. I don't want just parents visiting the school who are going to be there for minutes at a time to be the only defense that school has. There has to be more than that.
Yeah.
There has to be real school security that really protects our children, not this stupid sign on a door that makes things more dangerous than anything else. No, we need something real and tangible and effective. And the way we bring that about is to get these schools to understand that what they're currently doing is the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Tom, we're certainly on the same page with that. I would love to get rid of all of these pistol-free zones, simply because 85% of all people killed in mass shootings are killed in pistol-free zones, and I don't like to see innocent people die, especially children. But
there's a reason that our community refers to these places as mass murder empowerment zones.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it does.
Absolutely.
Now, how we disassemble those, there are a lot of different options, and I'm happy to discuss them. But I think we all agree that these zones in and of themselves are not the right choice.
Yeah. Now, Tom, timing on this. When can you expect a ruling from the state Supreme Court? I've
been told that we can expect it by July 31st.
Oh.
The court is supposed to have everything wrapped up from their current session by the end of July. It could be Monday we get an opinion. It could be July 31st we get an opinion. And this is just nothing other than a guess, that it'll probably be later on.
Mm-hmm.
Oral arguments seem to go very well. I think our legal arguments are very good. The political leanings of the court are 5 conservative, 2 liberal. That doesn't make anything a sure bet whatsoever, even in the slightest.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
Yeah. Well, my preference is I'd love to get a favorable ruling for us prior to the lame duck legislative session, and maybe we can actually make some good changes come about because of this. So that would be really nice, in my opinion.
Yep. Like I said, this isn't the end of the story. It's the start of the next chapter.
You bet. Now, Tom, we'll be seeing you at the Second Amendment March on June 20th.
Absolutely.
Michigan Open Carry, Michigan Gun Owners, and Second Amendment March working together to have it's an open carry rally. You can open carry, you can concealed carry, whatever you want to do, or you can not carry. That's what freedom's all about. June 20th. At the Second Amendment March at the Lansing State Capitol. You can go to 2amarch.com to figure that one out and get all the details. Tom, I just want to take this time to publicly thank you for what Michigan Open Carry is doing legislatively, but also for, working so hard to help us out with the Second Amendment March, because, all these things are so important. We have to take like a multi-pronged approach to getting our freedom back. So, Tom, thank you very much for all that you and Michigan Open Carry do.
Yeah, I know we do the Second Amendment March every year, and I've been at it every year for the past don't know how many now. But to your listeners, this year is important. Everybody knows that we are under attack again, perhaps like we haven't seen in the past.
Yeah.
This year, you need to turn out. You need to be there. I don't care what you're carrying, if you carry at all. We need boots, shoes on the ground. We need numbers in the crowd. We need a show of force like we've had before.
Yeah, bring your friends and family, because it's one of my favorite days of the entire year. It's right up there with opening day of deer season. It's just awesome. So, Tom, one more time, how can people learn about Michigan Open Carry?
Sure, you can find us online at miopencarry.org or on Facebook. There's a number of other ways too, but if you find us either one of those, you'll find all the rest. miopencarry.org, Michigan Open Carry.
All right. Tom, thank you very much for being on the Home Defense Show.
Thanks again, Skip.
Okay, folks, we got another 2-minute break. Check out our sponsors, firearmslegal.com/Midwest Tactical, and then go to elitefirearms.us, and also check out Michigan Open Carry, miopencarry.org. This is Skip Coryell on the Home Defense Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Welcome to my dad's Home Defense Radio show. You're gonna love it.
Hey, folks, I want to tell you about my book, Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book. More and more people across the country are seeing the dangers in society and are deciding to carry concealed to protect themselves and their families. My new book lays it out step by step. It'll teach you how to protect and defend the ones you love. Get the benefit of 17 years of teaching experience and a lifetime of training for this important role in society and in your family. You can get Civilian Combat real easy. Just go to Amazon.com, search on Skip Coryell Civilian Combat, and it'll pop right up there. Don't put it off any longer. Get Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book by yours truly, Skip Coryell.
This is Colonel Danny Gillum. I host Frontlines of Freedom, a weekly syndicated military talk radio show. One of my co-hosts is Skip Coryell, the host of this show. We cover things that impact military and veteran communities, and we do it from the veteran's perspective. The show is broadcast across the nation and is also available as a podcast on our website, frontlinesoffreedom.com. Please join Skip and me weekly on Frontlines of Freedom.
This is Skip Coryell from the Home Defense Show, and I want you to have the very best handgun that money can buy. And that's why we recommend you visit Larry Jackson at Elite Firearms and Training. As a concealed carry instructor, I see people every week out on the range with guns they can't shoot properly because they didn't know what to buy. That will never happen at Elite Firearms and Training. Larry Jackson will personally fit you with your very own personal defense pistol. So call Larry Jackson today at 616-299-8715 or visit elitefirearms.us.
Skip, it's time for our Armed America Report. Take us there, dude.
All of us here at Frontlines of Freedom want our listeners to get trained and get armed in that order. We fully support the right to keep and bear arms for all law-abiding families, and we encourage you to find out about the laws governing use of deadly force in your state and follow them to the letter. And of course, don't forget to follow the rules of safety and common sense whenever you're carrying a firearm to protect the ones you love. What's the story this week, Colonel?
In a second recent case of an armed citizen helping out law enforcement, a Utah police officer was scuffling with someone near a clothing donation collection bin. A passerby who was carrying a concealed handgun did what a law-abiding gun owner would be expected to do. He stopped his car, got out, aimed at the assailant, and yelled at him to stop. The man scurried off and was later arrested and charged with assaulting a law enforcement officer. The officer sustained a fractured eye socket and lacerations.
Thanks, Colonel. As of 2017, there have been 16.3 million concealed weapons permits issued in the United States. There is no federal statutory law concerning the issuance of concealed carry permits. All 50 states have passed laws allowing qualified individuals to carry certain concealed firearms in public, either without a permit or after obtaining a permit. However, there are still many states that, though they have passed concealed carry permit laws, they do not issue permits or they make it extremely difficult to obtain one. In many states, when concealed carry laws were proposed, law enforcement was told their lives would be in danger every time they made a traffic stop, that America would revert to the days of the wild, wild West. This made many police officers nervous, but after 30 years of lawful concealed carry in America, most police are grateful that law-abiding citizens take the time to get trained and armed. Experience has taught us that the average concealed carry holder is more likely to help a police officer than to hurt him. Every time I pass a police officer on the street, I always check out the situation with a visual scan just to make sure he doesn't need my help. I figure it's the least I can do for a person who has dedicated his life to upholding the law and keeping citizens safe. It's a point of great contention across the U.S. as to whether concealed carry laws have lowered crime. Those on the left insist that it has not, while those on the right assert that it has. But one thing is for certain. In this particular case, this Utah police officer is grateful to the ordinary citizen who carried concealed, and he knows beyond the shadow of a doubt that in his case, his life may have been saved. And I, for one, happen to agree with him.
Amen, brother.
Okay, folks, welcome back to the Home Defense Show. This is your host, Skip Coryell. Hey, segment 4 already. That was a great 2 segments with Tom Lambert, the president of Michigan Open Carry. I think it's great what they're doing along with Michigan gun owners. Oh, man, it's just fantastic. I so much want them to win that case. Of course, losing would be really bad. And I imagine they had to put a lot of thought into that. You go, hey, do we risk this? If we win, it's great. If we lose, it's not quite so great. But let's stay positive. We will find out no later than July 31st. And, boy, it'd be nice if we could find out in June, wouldn't it? That'd be fantastic. And once we find out, we can forge on ahead and we can press for better legislation. We'll have some bargaining room. And, like I said in the last segment, we'll have them by the short hairs, and we can drag them kicking and screaming to the bargaining table this fall with our lame duck legislative session. That seems to be when controversial things get done, which is odd to me. I must be biased because I don't see getting rid of pistol-free zones to be controversy at all. It's like, this is just common sense. This is just what makes sense, and this is what will save lives. But, hey, apparently I'm not like everyone else. Imagine that. Now's the part of the show where I tell you what I really think. And this week, I got something a little bit different for you. This week, we're going to talk about making mistakes. All right, here we go. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I plan on making more. I've done stupid things. Sometimes I knew I was being stupid, but most of the time I was just clueless, or I didn't have the wisdom and the experience to know what the right thing to do really was at the time. Either way, a mistake is a mistake, and sometimes you get grace, but most of the time there's a price to pay. My first marriage comes to mind, but I don't want to talk about that right now. It's over. It's done. It was one of those mistakes where you don't get grace, but you still have to pay for your idiocy. You know, I think of divorce as the gift that keeps on giving, but then I digress. Some mistakes can kill you, while others just teach you how to do it better next time. Mistakes with guns can kill you, or put you in jail, or kill someone you care about. So far, I've made very few mistakes with my guns. But I made a mistake just yesterday, and I want to share it with you. Well, that's not exactly true. I really don't like sharing my mistakes, especially the boneheaded ones. It's kind of like yelling at the top of your lungs, "Hey, world, look at me. I'm exceedingly stupid. Look at the mistake I just made." But on the other hand, I'm an instructor, and teaching is part of what defines me. So here goes. Here's my mistake. I'm always trying out new equipment, all different kinds, guns, holsters, ammo, all the fun hardware us folks in the gun community like to play with. And a few days ago, my new holster from Crossbreed was delivered. This is my third holster from Crossbreed. The other two are inside the waistband holster, but I also wanted to give their outside the waistband holsters a try. So yesterday, I strapped on this bad boy for the first time, wondering if I'd like it. And I have to admit that it felt pretty comfortable, even before breaking it in. It's their standard snap-slide hybrid holster with Kydex riveted into cowhide. The holster rides high on my hip for better concealment and hugs tight into my waist. It was pretty comfortable. Now we get to the part where I'm an idiot. I'm attending an active self-protection tactics class taught by John Correa this Saturday, and I wanted to work with the new holster before taking it into a class. After all, going from one holster to another is different, and I didn't want to make a fool out of myself in front of a bunch of classmates, so I put my M&P full frame into the holster and did a few draws. And then it occurred to me that I'd like to update my muscle memory, and I'd need to draw a few thousand times. So I thought to myself, Skip, don't be an idiot. Don't draw this loaded gun inside your office hundreds of times and take the chance of shooting yourself in the butt. So, being the smart guy I am, I first considered using a training pistol, but then decided that would be overkill. Besides, I didn't want to totally disarm for the entire day. So I carefully ejected my magazine and racked the round out of the chamber. Then I replaced the loaded magazine and reholstered the pistol. So far, so good, right? Then throughout the morning, I proceeded to draw my pistol over and over and over again, sometimes in front of the mirror, always working to perfect my draw stroke and to be safe. Now, my normal carry holster is a Serpa Blackhawk retention holster with the push-button locking system. I've always liked that because I can hear it snap into place and I know it won't be taken from me easily. I have drawn my gun from that Serpa holster tens of thousands of times, and my right forefinger automatically presses the release button as I draw. I do it without thinking, which of course means that my finger was still taking the time to do that even with the new Crossbreed holster, regardless of the fact that the retention button is no longer there. My draw is much slower now simply because I reach down and try to touch the non-existent button, and that makes me hesitate before I continue with my draw stroke. That surprised me, and it's going to take a few thousand reps, I think, to reprogram my fingers to do the right thing at the right time in the right way. But no big deal, I can do that. It'll just take time. So I continued working on the novel that I'm writing, the 4th installment of the God Virus series, The Blind Man's Rage. But then I wanted to take a break from it, so I'd stand up and do another 25 reps with my draw stroke. Then I'd go back to writing on the computer. I did that all day long until it was time to go to Bible study at our church in Grand Rapids. So I got ready for church, loaded Sarah and the kids in the car, and took off. Everything went fine. Fast forward to this morning. I got out of bed, showered, got dressed, and then strapped on my new holster and my 9mm M&P full frame. My intention was to again continue updating my draw stroke muscle memory all through the day as I worked. So I looked down at the gun, and something didn't feel quite right. I looked into the chamber, and it was all black and empty. It was at that moment I realized that I'd spent all day yesterday walking around with an empty chamber. Now, if I'd just stayed home all day, it wouldn't have been such a big deal, but I'd gone to church, and I'm on my church safety team. I was the primary protection for about 100 souls that evening, and I was walking around defending them with an empty gun. Now, don't I feel stupid? Yes, I do. Why did I do that? I did it because life happens. I get busy. Then I try to do too many things in too short a time. Or maybe I'm just getting old and the mind is the first thing to go. I don't know. What matters most is that I did it, and I shouldn't have. Sometimes I make fun of people for doing things like that. Sometimes I scold them and lecture them. But the bottom line is this. Yesterday, I didn't practice what I preach. Imagine the surprised look on my face if I'd been required to use my gun in self-defense yesterday, or to defend someone else. I would have drawn my pistol, pressed the trigger, and heard a very loud and resounding click. A surprising click at that. Nothing is more surprising than hearing your gun go click when you're expecting it to go bang. Well, thank God no one tried to mug me yesterday, and thank God for mistakes that don't kill you, because that's how we learn and become wiser. Here's what I learned. When practicing your draw stroke, treat it like dry fire practice. You should do it in a designated area at a designated time with no ammo in the room. When you're done practicing, you can then reload your pistol, reholster, and then go about your daily routine. Not quite as convenient, but certainly much safer and less likely to get me killed. Here's the main reason I embarrassed myself publicly by even telling you this story. It is possible to learn life or death lessons by studying other people's mistakes. So, learn from your own mistakes, but also learn from my mistakes as well. Besides, it's so much safer and less humiliating when you don't do stupid, empty-headed things. And that's what I really think. You know, folks, that's not the only stupid thing I've done with my firearms. Boy, could I tell you some stories. But you know what? I'm not going to, because it would be even more embarrassing. You know, if you want to learn about some of the stupid things I've done with firearms and learn from my mistakes, then buy some of my books. The book Blood in the Streets comes to mind, and you can learn all about how I shot my television. But enough said about that. It's in the past, and I definitely learned from that one. Well, folks, we're running out of time here. I'm getting ready to head out to the John Correa Active Self-Protection Seminar from 6 to 9 in Battle Creek tonight. I will be listening to John Correa talk about all he's learned from 13,000 gunfight videos. Wow. I can't wait to soak that all in. And of course, it's going to be very romantic with my wife. Folks, it doesn't get any more romantic than 13,000 gunfights. All right, now, check out Second Amendment March, 2amarch.com, 2amarch.com, and get signed up for the Second Amendment March. We need to know how many people are going to be there, so check that out. Spread the word. It's very, very important. Go to Amazon.com. Get Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry book by yours truly, Skip Coryell. And also check out our sponsors. Our sponsors are important. They bring us this show and make it possible. Go to firearmslegal.com/Midwest Tactical. Get firearms legal protection. So you don't have to worry so much about, whoa, geez, am I going to go to jail for this? You need good legal representation on your side. And then go to elitefirearms.us. Call up Larry Jackson. He can help fit you with the best self-defense gun for you and for your family. That's elitefirearms.us. Well, okay, folks, that about wraps it up for this week's episode of the Home Defense Show. Until next week, remember, your purpose in life is to find something greater than yourself and serve it. Always remember, God, family, country, in that order. It's important how you live, but it's equally important how you die. Your family and the ones you love need your protection, so train, always train, stay alert, stay alive. Until next week on the Home Defense Show, this is your host, Skip Coryell. God bless you, God bless your family, and God bless America.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Home Defense Show. Now, get out there and protect the ones you love. We'll see you next week with more of the best in home defense.
Bye-bye, boys! Have fun storming the castle!